morning, everybody, in this nice rainy weather. But, it's how life grows. So it's blessed that you all came out today. So today's daily word is harmony. Divine love, wisdom, and understanding bring harmony to my world. When I reflect on the various relationships in my life, what feelings come to mind and heart? Do I feel the joy of kinship with family members, of shared experiences and accomplishments with coworkers or within my community? What I bring to each relationship determines my experience and may even influence the experience of others. Even if there is a friction or tension, I choose not to respond to any negative or insensitive comments. Instead, I view every relationship, every situation through the lens of my being a living expression of God. I am harmonizing presence as I let God be God in me. I affirm divine love, wisdom, and understanding bring harmony to my world. And the scripture is Micah 6:8. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. Unity Spiritual Center is a center of prayer and healing. As you all know, we have the communal prayer chest in the back of our sanctuary, and you're always invited to fill a prayer request form out. The green prayer request forms are always placed near the box, and as we do every Sunday, let's just hold those prayer requests in our hearts, knowing not the circumstances or the people involved perhaps, but knowing that they are prayers of the heart from members of our community. So let's just surround that box with our love and know that for every situation that has been written about, divine love and divine order is present. The prayer requests that are placed in that box are prayed on by me and our USC prayer team for 30 days. And then we forward them to Silent Unity at Unity's World Headquarters, where they're prayed on for an additional 30 days. As I mentioned, we've got prayer request forms in the back that you're always invited to fill out. We also have candle racks. If you would like a visual reminder of your prayer, we have candles that are LED, and so you just need to turn on the switch on the bottom and place it in the candle holder of your choosing, and we will keep that candle there for the life of it. So that's another way in which we invite you to pray in our beautiful sanctuary. And finally, we like to make our prayers audible. So this is the time in our service where you can offer them aloud to your spiritual family here so that we can stand with you and support you. So after we sing the introduction to the song that Michael will lead us through, you're invited to speak your prayer aloud, and we will answer each prayer request by singing "Your Prayer is My Prayer Too."
We are connected by the heart. Where do you end? Where do I start? Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me. Your prayer is my prayer too. 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 Your prayer is my prayer too.
And we also leave time in our service to share things that you're grateful for, anything you feel blessed by, anything you feel thanksgiving for. This is the time to share that with your spiritual family.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We give thanks for this opportunity to bless each other, to be blessed in spirit. We give thanks for the feelings of connection, of peace, of warmth, that fill our hearts and minds right now. We give thanks for the privilege of praying for others in our community, in our nation, and around the world. And we affirm that always and in all ways, no matter what appearances may be, divine love and divine order is everywhere present. At Unity Spiritual Center, your prayer is our prayer too. Amen.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
The microphone on? There we go. We got it. Good morning, and thank you for not clapping. We love Michael's music, and it always moves us. And there are times when clapping would be to really break the beautiful mood that he's created through his verse and through his sound, the beautiful tones that he plays. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that today I've noticed that there was 2 times when you did not clap, and I think that's appropriate because it helps us to create that beautiful sacred mood. So, and Michael knows that's why you're silent, is because it's moved you, right? Yeah. So, love, perfect song. Wow, perfect song for today. If you were here on the day that I announced I'm not working with monthly themes this year, I found myself really trapped in a box about the time I reached education in November. And it was like, I'm not doing this again. At least I'm not doing it for another year. So I'm not working with monthly themes this year. I am, however, working with an annual theme. I'll always be working with an annual theme. And anybody remember what the annual theme is for 2019? Imagination. Awesome, Janet. Yeah, we're working with imagination. And when I made that announcement, I said there are going to be some services that are more imaginative than others, and this is one of those days. So get ready. I'm not going to say buckle your seatbelts because we're going to need those seatbelts unbuckled. But why are we going to be, or what are we going to be doing? We are going to be focusing on love, even though it's not an official theme. This is kind of the month in which we think about it, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, it actually started last month, much to my horror. We're surrounded by Valentine's Day stuff, right? You know, all of a sudden we're seeing the hearts and the candy and the stuffed animals. And so we are sort of having this idea of love put in our faces right now. Whether or not you're aware of it, you probably on some level are thinking, who do I love? How do I express my love? Who loves me? How is love going to be expressed to me? And just as that song suggested, the only love that is really worth spending a lot of time in reflection about is love of the divine and how we're expressing that. Because it could be said that that is the sole purpose of our existence. You know, and I've talked about this before. I was trained as a life purpose coach, you know, and people would say, oh, I don't know what my life purpose is. You know, what's my life purpose? Like it's something out in the ethers, and if only I can catch it, then I can live a life on purpose. You know, that's a whole different sermon. I won't go there. But what I will say is that sages throughout the years have said, you know, the real purpose of life is to love. That's the purpose. Some people, my mentor, added the word create, that our purpose is to love and create. But always love is a part of that as being a purpose, the very purpose of our existence. So that's why it's worth exploring more than one time. And I want to read you a quote from our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, just to kind of put this in a perspective, why this might be important. Charles Fillmore said, "We may talk about the wisdom of God, but the love of God must be felt in the heart. It cannot be described, and one who has not felt it will have no concept of it from the descriptions of others. But the more we talk about love, the more we focus on love, the stronger it grows in the consciousness. And if we persist in thinking loving thoughts and speaking loving words, we are sure to bring into our experience the feeling of that great love that is beyond description, the very love of God." And it may be hard, and I know it is hard, because I struggle with it too sometimes, to believe that always, in every situation, no matter what the situation is, that God's love is everywhere present. But that's what we're here to keep remembering, to keep reminding ourselves of, that God's love is everywhere present. And so a wonderful assignment for us all is to learn new ways to keep remembering that, to practice that, to expand our ability to operate with that knowledge on a day-to-day basis. So what I wanted to do, and it's really a perfect day to do it because our numbers are lower due to the rain, due to the Super Bowl, is I want to introduce you to a practice called Visio Divina. Who here is familiar with Lectio Divina? A few of you. Something I did introduce to us all in different years gone by, so I guess that was on a day that you weren't here. But Lectio Divina is an ancient practice. It comes from the Latin meaning holy reading. And it's about studying a passage of Scripture, but not from the head, from the heart. It's about really taking a passage of Scripture into your heart and being with it, seeing how it speaks to you, taking it slow, something that we don't often do. Many of you may not know that I wrote a book called The Way We Pray, which is 50 different prayer practices from around the world. And so I have a fondness for not only exploring different prayer practices, but introducing them to people, because there's so many different ways in which we can connect with God. And all of us are wired in different ways. Some of us are more visual, some of us are more auditory, some of us like to move, some of us, find God in our relationships with others. There are many, many different ways of being with the God of our understanding. But I wanted to introduce you to something that was new to me, that I didn't even come across when I was writing that book, and that is Visio Divina. So like Lectio Divina, it's divina, it's holy. It's a way of seeing or a way of looking, holy looking. So that's what the word comes from. Now this has a rich history in many religious traditions. As many of you will remember, if you stop to think about it, God has always been expressed visually, whether it was stained glass windows, whether it was beautiful icons. We, meaning humankind, through the ages, has always turned to visual ways of expressing the inexpressible. We've always tried to encounter God through depicting the concept of the allness in different ways. And Richard Rohr, who here is familiar with Richard Rohr? He is a Catholic priest and an author, pretty well known. He has a daily meditation, which is well worth subscribing to. I do. And our center manager, Jerry Bragg, is actually going to go spend a weekend with Richard Rohr in a couple of months. This is what Richard Rohr said about Visio Divina. He said, in the Hindu tradition, and he's giving you a history here, in the Hindu tradition, darshan or darsana is to behold the divine or to see with reverence and devotion. In the Eastern Orthodox tradition, icons, we all know what I mean by icons, right? The beautiful depictions, usually of the mother and child, are windows into God's heart. They are symbols of deeper than apparent wisdom. Approaching images with openness to God's presence is also known as the practice of Visio Divina, sacred seeing. Choose an image, a painting, a photograph, sculpture, some other kind of artwork. Set aside some quiet time with this piece and begin with a prayer of intent to be open to God. Look slowly at the image, taking in every detail without critique. Observe the colors, shapes, shadows, lines, empty spaces. Allow your unfiltered response to arise. These could be feelings, memories, thoughts. Notice and welcome these reactions without evaluation, whether they seem negative or pleasing. How do these feelings evoked by the image connect with your life? What desires are stirring in you? How are you drawn to respond? Take a few moments to reflect in writing, movement, or sound, whatever embodiment fits your expression. Finally, simply rest in God's presence. Can you see where I'm going with this? The idea here is that, as I mentioned, we're wired in in different ways. We experience God in different ways. And the more ways we can find, the more ways we can practice to experience God, the greater our capacity will be to come from that place of God's love more and more of the time. So today we are going to practice Visio Divina. I wanted to do it with Shiloh's paintings because they're going to come down in 2 weeks. They won't be here anymore. So this is a perfect opportunity to really take them in. And I want to tell you a little bit about them before I set you free to do your Visio Divina. Some of you know, this year I am taking another painting class from Shiloh that is purely a devotional painting class. So we'll be working on one large painting, one per every 2 or 3 months. I'm going to paint 4 images of the Divine Feminine, and we're ending with Jesus in December. And I can tell you, because I'm working right now on one called Our Lady of Living Waters, which actually is the 3rd one here. That's Shiloh's Lady of Living Waters. So that may give you a clue as to some of the imagery you might want to look at when you're looking at that one. I can tell you that layered upon layered upon layered in the paint are prayers, because that's how she works, and she's going to come here in 2 weeks on the day the exhibit comes down to tell you more about her process. But every layer is a prayer that is then covered up, and then there's a new prayer covered up. The whole thing is just infused with prayer. And that's why I'm so attracted to her practice. It's not because I just wanted to learn how to paint. It's because I wanted to learn how to paint as a spiritual practice. So I'm going to let you loose to practice Visio Divina. If you are feeling challenged physically, if moving is hard for you, then I would invite you to stay in your chair and look at the painting that's closest to you. But if movement is not a problem for you, then I would invite you to take 5 minutes, and we'll time you. We'll tell you when the time is up, to really take in all of the images. There are 25 paintings here, virtually one for everyone, but many of you may be drawn to the same one. I'm going to let you have your experience, but as Michael plays gentle music, I invite you to take 5 minutes and walk around and see which painting speaks to you, taking your worksheet. You all got a worksheet on Visio Divina when you walked in? Anybody not get that? Okay, 5 minutes. first question I want to ask you is, how are you feeling right now? Is anybody feeling a little agitated? Elevated? Lovely. Wonderful. And I just want to say that if you feel anything other than those things, that's okay too, because that can be part of the practice. So if you have a feeling of indifference, confusion, if something doesn't feel totally resonant to you, that can have information for you too. And that's something just to note. So I want you just to take a couple of minutes. You have the worksheet in front of you. And just take another couple of minutes in silence to ponder those questions. If you want to jot down some notes, if you want to use the back, please do. And if you'd like a clean sheet at the end of the service, we have extras. But let's take maybe another couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, just to take a look at that worksheet and answer some of those questions or ponder some of those questions for yourself. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. Probably this is the first time all of you, any of you have done this practice, yes? What was that like for you? And again, all responses are okay. Intriguing. Yeah. Freedom? Wonderful. You want to say more about freedom, Juanita?
Lavender is my color, so lavender and red. So I couldn't see anything else but that one. And it says the lady in the clouds, her feet hurrying along the hills and the mountains in the clouds. The white tips, snows on the mountain. She was observing that, and her feet was hurrying along, not letting her rest in any one particular place. She captured the forest, the trees, taken with her, as she looks to herself as a princess overlooking her kingdom, very pleased with herself, feeling free as a gypsy, wandering free to God's will, but really taking stock of her surroundings, which she feels has a lot of passion for being God's light. She's taking that all into it, but she's keep moving into
So you saw this as a reflection, perhaps, of somebody as the divine or somebody in the service of the divine?
as a, I took it as that's what the divine meant to her in the picture. That
Actually, it might be a battery.
she's the divine as she floats around image of the divine.
The image of the divine. Yeah. Interesting to hear.
God is
Well,
the
you know,
spirit floating everywhere as I would like to be.
interesting to hear Maggie talk about like the story came to her. She saw something. Did that happen for most of you or a lot of you? Did you have some kind of story or narrative that was in response? What else came to you? What else was your experience?
I have a strange one.
Yeah, some strange experience?
Well, strange. It's not so strange, but I'm looking at that one.
That same one is funny? Yeah.
And it reminds me of my favorite book, one of my favorite books, The Little Prince, the way it looks, and the fact that it has the inscription for that is the answer to life.
Yeah, because there's actually words in that one.
Yeah,
There are words in all of
it
them.
stands for faith, vision, wisdom, and is basically everything you need. And as the little prince, is in search of something, and in the end it was simple, but these are the answers.
Something simple as truth, right? Yeah, thank you, Brad.
It's funny, I didn't see the words in that. I just saw more of an information rather than a.
Yeah, it's one of the few ones that does have words. Lydia, you're an artist. What do you want to say?
I love all the paintings here, but what I was most attracted to was this one there. It seems to me like it's the Divine Mother holding holding our creation, and she's singing a lullaby, playing on the guitar. This painting made me feel very safe and peaceful and taken care of. I really love it.
Thank you. Who else chose a different painting? Any other paintings you want to talk about? Yeah, Marcy.
So, sitting in the back, I get to see a lot of those beautiful paintings, right? But today, because I was sitting here, I was struck by this painting to the right, which isn't a Sophia's. It's not hers, right? Yeah. But to me, when I first looked at it, I thought, okay, what is this wonderment in this woman's eyes as she's looking into this almost amniotic sac with fetuses in it of creatures. And there's all these creatures around it. But then when I looked at the top, it reminds me of, and not to get too biological, but I'm in healthcare, it looks like a womb, right? It's got ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and the uterus. And then this is, to me, it looks like you're looking into that space, and this is creation. And there's all this metamorphosis to me. There's a butterfly, but then there's these creatures that are morphing inside that are on her head. But it's the awe and kind of wonderment that she has, and maybe inspiration of what's yet to come from life coming forward. So that's what I got from it. Because I remember when my child was born, how I was amazed at this life, and then also the dream of what this life will eventually do. It was just those combinations.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you used that. That is the one painting in the sanctuary right now that is not Shiloh Sophia's. This was painted by Elizabeth Gibbons, who had an exhibit here a couple of years ago. And we actually have this on semi-permanent loan. Elizabeth just moved to Hawaii. So this will be staying with us, as well as the Guadalupe that's in the hallway. Okay, so maybe we've got time for one more. Anybody else want to? Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this exercise. Thank you. It kind of opened me up. It was like a meditation, but I felt real open and relaxed. And I saw a lot of symbolism in that, okay? And I saw birth, and I saw the world, and I saw nature, and the Holy Spirit, the dove. And there's just, the more I looked at it, the more I saw. And it's just wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Was anybody either put off or did anybody notice a reaction around the fact that most of the paintings are of the divine feminine? Okay, Ruben, you want to say anything about that?
And I thought, well, maybe, why am I drawn to that? Maybe because it's a male figure. And so that's what I thought. It's interesting that there's almost all women. And it's a little bit odd. Yeah. And I noticed that the church is mostly women. Yeah. So I think about that energy that's in the church for that being. Yeah.
Thank you for admitting to that, Ruben. And I just want to say that's a little bit of a taste of what women for centuries have been feeling when they walked into sanctuaries and only saw male images, right? Which is one of the reasons why Shiloh focuses on the divine feminine, is because for millennia, really, images of the divine feminine have been suppressed. They've been hidden or destroyed, and so this is a conscious desire to bring more of the divine feminine out. But it's a valid feeling, and I think we as women have felt it, haven't we? When we would enter a place and there seemed to be no, liturgy, any verbiage, any image of the divine feminine. So I want to thank you all so much for playing with me, for letting me introduce you to this. And I just want to encourage you to keep it up, because, it doesn't have to only be paintings. It can be anything. Once you have on the worksheet I gave you the 4 steps in Latin that one goes through for both Lectio Divina and for Visio Divina. And you can do that with anything. You can do it with anything you look at, anything you experience. You can do it with music. You can do it with nature. It's all a way of just noticing how potentially you can always be in dialogue with the divine. If God is everywhere present, like we always say, then you have the potential to always be in dialogue with God. So this is just a way in which you can explore that. It's one of the reasons why we work with divination cards sometimes. Like you pick an angel card and you think, wow, that's exactly what I needed to see. Well, it's speaking to you. God is always speaking to us. And I've got a close-up, Juanita. And I'm sorry, say that again. Wonderful. Yeah, it's because it's so important, isn't it? That's why we're here. We're here for reminders that we are divine, that the universe we dwell in is divine, and how can we keep that in front of us more and more of the time? Because sometimes it's very easy to get knocked off course, isn't it? So, again, thank you for exploring that with me. And because we had our meditation already, I'm going to end with a prayer that was written by a man named William Sadler. And this is called Prayer for Sacred Vision. So I invite you to close your eyes and just listen to the words of this beautiful prayer. Loving God, how often do I let my eyes skim over the surface of creation and fail to see a single part of it? How many times have I taken for granted the sight of a family member or friend? How have I let my vision become myopic, turned inward towards my own needs, wants, anxieties, and fears? Open my eyes to the artistry of the painter, sculptor, and iconographer. Expand my capacity to gaze upon both the beauty and ugliness of the world, so that I grow in my capacity for both gratitude and empathy. May I learn to view my life and the lives of others through the lens of grace, and behold how all of it is held in your sacred hand. And so it is. Amen. So, kind of a clunky segue, but here we go. Unity offers positive, practical, progressive spiritual teachings and tools that honor the universal truth in all religions and respects each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. And here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live, and I invite you to join with me in saying them aloud together. Our vision is: centered in God, we co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is: we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are: we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by our vision, mission, and values, feeling enriched and inspired by the beauty around us today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected today to Unity Worldwide Ministries and the San Francisco Food Bank. So let's take a moment now to bless our tithes and our love offerings, placing them in our hands or next to our hearts as we say our offertory prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
What we need is more love. And if you believe in what I'm dreaming of, all we need is more love. There are many things we can do without. I don't need a fancy car, that's not what I'm about. There is an ingredient we might run short of. It can only be more love. What we need is more love. If you believe in what I'm dreaming of, all we need is more love. There are many obstacles we may run into. I see it happen every day, and I can get you through. There is a magic word that fits you like a glove. It can only be more love. What we need is more love. If you believe in what I'm dreaming of, all we need is more love. There are many people that may not understand. Take the time to reach them and please give them a hand. There is a lesson delivered by a dove. It can only be more love. For what we need is more love. If you believe in what I'm dreaming of, all we need is more love. If you believe in what I'm dreaming of, all we need is more love.
All right, please join with me in blessing our offering.
Thanks for the many blessings that are in our church this very moment. We open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that are ours to choose. We are filled with a mighty faith that empowers and frees us to live our divine purpose and serve our community with excellence. And so it is. Amen.
So I want to thank everybody who's giving service today, including our ushers, Craig Beal and Kelly Beal, for Gloria Perry to Gloria Perry for running our AV today. Ron is being our extra percussionist, and Steve as well. I think Karina's in there with her sister, and to Rosa and Candy, who I think have been setting up a wonderful hospitality potluck for you next door. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. So I have a few other announcements, very important. I'm giving you a break. If you did not fill out the member reaffirmation form that was due January 31st, and what this means is if you are a member and you've attended a class and you want to be counted as a member, a voting member in 2019, please fill that out and turn it in today. We're keeping it open through today, but we really do need to get those in. So please fill one out if you haven't already. I am creating a special opportunity for USC women this year, which actually draws upon this idea in some ways of Visio Divina. And that is that on the first Sunday of every month, we're going to meet upstairs on the Art Attic to create our own personal holy book. So the idea around this is that every Sunday that we meet, we'll have fellowship, we'll be able to work on our book, and by the end of the year, we'll have an illustrated scriptures of our own, things that include those elements that inspire us and nourish us. So please do join me for that. I'll be upstairs at 12:45. And if you didn't bring or don't have a journal, I have a few for sale that you can use. On next Sunday, February 10th, we will have our volunteer appreciation lunch. It's been rescheduled. So if you did volunteer in 2018, please come to that so we can thank you and celebrate you. And if you haven't volunteered or didn't volunteer in 2018, but you're kind of thinking about it, take a look at the clipboards in the back of the sanctuary because we have a number of opportunities for you, and we'd love to celebrate you next year. Also next Sunday, and I know this definitely applies to one of you, we are going to have a membership class. So if you wanted to join us, there are brochures in the hallway. Just fill one out. Plan on joining me upstairs. I think probably it'll be upstairs. Maybe it'll be in here next Sunday following hospitality, and we will hold that. And as I mentioned, Shiloh Sophia is coming on February 17th. She's going to be giving our sermon. She will be doing a workshop in the afternoon. And then finally, sadly, these beautiful paintings will be coming down. But we have another wonderful surprise of what's going to go up. I don't see Annette here, but it has to do with one of our congregants. There she is. All right. I didn't see you behind the palm, but as you may know, Annette Hershey-Forbes is a professional photographer, and she is gifting us with portraits of a number of our members, and that's going to be the next exhibit that's going to go up. It's going to be a photography exhibit of our community members, so that's something to look forward to, probably coming in March. And with that, let's bring in our kids.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.